take up the fault analysis. A few of the designs are still left for us. So from until last class, I think the total syllabus what was covered is clear for you, because we completed both the synthesis of the combinational and sequential, both in synchronous, asynchronous, complete, incomplete aspects. No answer.
Ma'am, your voice is a bit low, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible?
Is it clear?
Now it's okay, ma'am.
So my question was, we have completed the combinational, sequential, asynchronous, synchronous, complete, incomplete synthesis. So hope you understood all the topics, whatever was covered.
Yes, ma'am.
So we, still a few more designs are left for us. Something like adders, different types of adders are there. BCD adder, your fast adder, Foxstone adder. Few adders circuits are left for us, and not only that, some analysis of fault detections and all also. Primary level of fault detection, I think one aspect what we said is weighted codes, non-weighted codes. That is simple, what you say, based on parity and all. But here we try to do the fault analysis based on some prescribed formats. Okay. So normally when we characterize these faults, what we say is something like hazard we mention, and these hazards can be two, that is static hazard and dynamic hazard. So what is static hazard is that a temporary fault happening, it's a static hazard. Dynamic is that uh, maybe temporarily there is a faulty response, but ultimately when you get a temporary fault and a transition to a needed output, that means before going to generate a wanted error-free output, there is a temporary fault. That sort of element we call it a static hazard. Dynamic is that it will be not only temporarily faulty, but permanently you may get fault. Okay, what can be the reasons? We'll see. Static hazard is due to the speed synchronization thing. Synchronization of the elements. Elements means any component or wire, whatever you take. If there is a synchronization problem, then synchronization means something like this. Say you have some blocks, or what we can say, these are circuits, any gates, anything. Okay, some component we are able to connect as per the design and get an output. Now here, defining an output here, we need to get a proper input that is given to the last stage, or any stage you take, the inputs happening at every element, if they are not synchronized, or that is if they are not happening at same moment, because of the mismatch in the speed or because of the mismatch in the moment at which the input is changing, there will be a fault. Until whatever the time lapse, the synchronization is not there, the output will be faulty. That is temporary fault. And later, after some duration, we will be getting a needed output. That type of response, say, how we can take is, say, this system or this circuit or this segment is having some 8 nanoseconds for its iteration, that means propagation delay, and this is having 6 nanoseconds, and say this is having 4 nanoseconds. And say if the inputs are happening at the same moment also, I'm taking two different aspects now. Inputs happening in synchronization at these two segments of 1 and 2, but there is a difference in the propagation delay. This circuit takes 8 nanoseconds to generate old to new output, and this needs 6 nanoseconds to generate old to new output. And these outputs are inputs to next segment 3. Now what happens? For a lapse of 2 nanoseconds, that is 8 minus 6, a 2 nanosecond mismatch is there. The 2 nanosecond, what happens is here the second circuit will be giving you the new data and the first circuit will be giving you old data for that 2 nanoseconds, that lapse of 2 nanoseconds. This is the worst condition we are giving. All this 8, 6 and 4 are worst condition propagation delays. It may happen earlier also. Okay. And there is a mismatch definitely because of shown difference here. And say if this fellow is taking 4 nanoseconds, and in that 4 nanoseconds you are getting what you say old and new combination of output, maybe there is a chance of getting a faulty response for that 2 nanoseconds. Then after 4 nanoseconds, it may settle to a wanted output because that gets synchronized after that time lapse. That is one aspect. If the path itself is not having the same, what you say, wiring length, or what you say, they are not derived from the synchronized sources, because inputs, just we are saying some inputs given here, but actually these inputs will be taken from some other sources or some other paths or some other segments of the circuit now. So x1, x2, x3, x4 can happen from different sources, different paths. And if these fellows are also not synchronized, then also there is a chance of static hazard. Because until they are getting synchronized, until they are happening at same instant, there is no chance of a straight away fault-free response coming. Okay, but this type of fault, okay, it is allowable into the design because if we can find out what is that time lapse for which there is a faulty response, and we consider the output after that response time, after that temporary fault response time, then our system is okay, perfect to be taken into our designs, or they can be considered as something a properly working circuit. Or say if this output is fed to some other circuit, say some other designs now. Okay, let us wait for 2 nanoseconds. Then whatever the output is generated is the needed output that we try to give it and do the further iterations. Okay, so static hazard is a little bit what you can say, it's a not so dangerous fault. But dynamic thing is that a permanent failure we are saying. Whatever you do, how much time you wait, there is a fault permanently happening at the circuit level. That means what can be the probable reasons for happening of a dynamic hazard is that if there is a break in the wire, the path is broken, or there is a short between the wiring, or if the device itself is not working properly, then there is a chance of permanent hazard. And permanent hazard means dynamic hazard. And what is the remedy for the dynamic hazard is that until and unless you repair that wiring or you replace that component, you may not be coming out of the permanent fault. That means you have to identify which circuit or which path or which segment is having a fault, and you have to, that means there is a some damage happening there. You have to repair that segment. Okay, that is your dynamic fault. But static hazard, we said, it is a temporary thing based on what you say, the element of synchronization it is happening. So what can be the remedy for that is, say in a design, say I take this example. Okay. Now, normally, if we take minimization, say this is one sample design I am taking. What is the type or how you will be grouping this for getting a Boolean equation? Generally, this will be the grouping. No? So what will be the equation here? This will be W dash X Y dash or here, this one. W dash Y Z. Okay. Now see here, I try to take this out for analysis. I'm taking the W dash is common, and this is X Y dash or Y Z. Okay. Now let us see and let us give some values and see if there is a hazard happening or not. See here, when you implement this design, this will be with 2 and 1 OR segment, 3 inputs fed. Okay, so W dash X Y dash or W dash Y Z. Okay, now this defines your output. The thing is, if say I make W dash to be 1, W dash to be 1, that means W is 0, X and Y also equal to, not Y, X and Z also equal to 1. Now what is the equation you get? Your output of the circuit should be permanently 1. Na? If I tie W dash as 1, that means W is 0. If W is 0, X is 1, Y, Z is 1. What is your equation? It will be Y or Y dash, na? It is equal to 1. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, here we have 3, what you say, gates. Now, say 1 and 2 are 2 AND gates having some difference in their propagation delay. Difference in, that means, say one fellow is faster than the other one, as we mentioned here. Now, here what happens is, say, this is Y dash here and this is Y. Y fellow is appearing in its complement form. If I tie these values as this W0, X1, Z1, the output depends on what is the value of Y dash that is being supplied to 1 and 2. Okay. Now, if Y goes from, say, if this Y is 1, this is 0. Okay. Now, say, if this is same 8 nanoseconds I'm say taking, and this is 10 nanoseconds, say. Okay. Now say this is faster compared to this second segment or a second AND gate. Now say y goes from like normally if you take this output anyhow this is what you say 0 1 sort of combination 0 or 1 you have to get and output should be 1. The thing is if there is a change or there is a input change happening and that input will be reaching this input segment of OR gate at different speeds or different moments. Say if y goes from uh, let's see here, this is 0 goes from 0 to 1, y goes to 1 to 0, the alternate thing. And see here, because faster, we change this. Let us make this as faster than this as slow. Let me interchange. Say this is 8 nanoseconds and this is 10 nanoseconds. Okay. Say here, when y goes from 1 to 0, y dash should be going from 0 to 1. But when this change will be appearing at this moment, this is at 8 nanoseconds, you will be getting 0. Okay. And this should be actually 1. Na? If the same speed it is to be reaching in synchronization means it should be 1. Then only this will be 1. What happens is still after 8 nanoseconds also this will not be 0 to 1 but for 10 more nanoseconds this will be 0 itself. After 10th nanosecond this goes from 0 to 1. So until that what happens, this will be going to 0 then settles to 1. That means there is some temporarily or what you say momentarily fault happening and later we are able to reach a wanted state. Maybe pictorial form if you give this type of response if you are having, say your design is designed for a value and there is a fluctuation and this is settling back. Say a design what is supposed to be say 5 volts to 0 volts. So this is your design and you are starting from any point. Okay. There is a fluctuation because of the mismatch, let us say, and it is reaching a wanted state, wanted output. Then this type of thing is called a static hazard. So now, when you want to design something a 5 volts generating system, after you switch on, maybe there is a fluctuation because of the path delays or the functioning in the malfunctioning in the components or the wiring problems and all. There is a fluctuation even after some element of what you say unstable response. It is not reaching a wanted state. This is the wanted state. This is unwanted. 0 volts it is going to. Then this type of response is called as dynamic. The other way you can say. That means this is permanent fault. Why? Because we are putting this in this form is only 0 and 1 is the output what we expect from any of the design. Now, what is supposed to be you are getting say a design designed for generating 0 if it is fluctuating and settling back to 0, okay, static. In between there is a temporary fluctuation and because there is a stability happening or synchronization happening after the time lapse, it is giving you fault free output. That is static. You can have dynamic is that a permanent failure happens which gives you a complement of the wanted value. Okay, now here this is static. There is a momentarily fault happening. Now, if I want to avoid such type of what you say in between temporary fault happening, maybe by introducing one more gate or something like increasing the complexity, making this circuit which is found to be having static hazard to be free of that variable which is influencing or which is deriving that static hazard. See, y dash is the one which is generating the static hazard. This combination which is existing in these two terms. Now what we can do is try to introduce one more gate, which is making it free from that y fellow. That means making it free from the variable which is deriving this faulty response. Okay, now introduce a gate which eliminates that y. Now here, see here, what you get is w dash x and z. This will be given to the circuit. Now what happens? Even if there is a time lapse between this 1 and 2, this will derive, this is the fixed value what we have given here. So it will be permanently 1. There is no chance of that static hazard. That means we have shown a remedy for the static hazard. It's not needed for every circuit. Whenever there is a static hazard happening in the design, then only this type of remedy has to be taken. Okay, so this is a basic level of what you say a hazard that you can realize in the designs and the probable remedies that you can give. Say if this is given for SOP format, deriving an SOP format. For POS format, what is that remedy is normal your implementation of max terms will be with this na product of sum. This is product of sum. So a remedy for such a circuit is introduce one more OR gate which will be eliminating that variable which is influencing or which is deriving the static hazard. Okay, this is for SOP, this is for POS. This is for SOP circuit. Remedy is introducing this. Here also the same thing. Introduce one extra term which is not including the variable which derives the static hazard. Okay. Now we have the fault analysis for combi and sequential. Okay. That means how we can do the fault analysis for combinational circuits, what are the rules, and for sequential circuits, what are the rules. Uh, Generally, when we categorize the type of faults, what are the faults that can happen? Something like a design which is defined or a design which is designed to generate an output 1 for some reasons of fault or for some reasons of how the system is getting generating a faulty response. That means at the rate of a static element or a dynamic element. A momentarily value change or some element of the output that is tied to a fault value than the desired one. That means complement. Say what we have is 1 and 0. A circuit which is designed to be with an output 1, if it is generating a 0, say, this is fault. We say that the type of fault is stuck at 0. Stuck at, this is one type of fault. When you design a circuit to give an output of 0, if you get 1, this is also a fault. That type of fault we call it as stuck at 1. So the types of faults you have in the designs is either a stuck at 0 or stuck at 1. Okay. Now how to find these faults? Say separately for gates, if you take AND gate, OR gate, or NAND gate, OR gate, and so on. Using these gates, how to find out is that, say, if for an AND gate, if you take the logic of an AND gate is that any all inputs, if they are true, then output is true. That is your logic of AND. Now see here. say I want to test a fault on this line, line 1. Okay, what is that we make is the other lines, the n minus 1 lines will be made equal to 1. Okay, you cannot make this 0 for an AND gate. Why? If any one of the input is 0, what happens? Output will be 0. We cannot find the influence of this line now. Okay, so except the line what you are testing. Actually, these testings will be done for each individual input or each individual path. That is the a tedious job that a testing engineer will be doing. Okay, each and every line, each and every input, we should be able to give a proper value to find a specific type of fault on that line. Okay, if you are using an AND logic or AND operator, make all other inputs equal to 1 and the line 1 what you are testing, okay, make a value which is complement of the type of fault you are testing. Say if this fellow is 1, if this fellow is 1, altogether what will be your output? Output will be 1. Okay, now if there is a fault happening, that means instead of 1 it is 0, a fault, it generates the output to be 0, so it is stuck at 0. Okay, and say I want to test stuck at 1, what should be the value previously tied is 0. Means that when this testing line is tied with 0, your output will be 0 because all other lines are 1 except the one what you are testing. So if it is fault free, okay, you will be getting 0 as it is. If there is a fault, it won't be 0, this will be 1. Means that this will be stuck at 1. This is faulty, this is faulty, stuck at 1 fault. So to find a fault on a specific line, what is the value we tie is the opposite value of the fault that we are testing. Okay, able to understand what I'm telling? Say if you are taking an OR gate testing, you have, say you are testing for this line. Make all other inputs except the line what you are testing, as 0 for OR gate. Because any one of the input to your OR gate is true, output will be true. So make all the other inputs to be false. I'm speaking with the positive logic aspect. Okay, when I'm directly tying these ones and zeros means it is positive logic I'm taking. Okay, now this output of the design will be depending on what is the value of the input. When that means Z. Is this correct what I'm saying? This should be I. That means we are making that only that line to contribute to the output now. Okay, now what happens is when I want to test this as a stuck at 0 or stuck at 1, what are the values that I have to try? If I tie this to 1, output should be 1. If a fault is happening on this line, what is the type of output you get? It is 0. That means it is stuck at 0. Okay. If you want to test at stuck at 1, tie this line as 0. A fault-free response is that it will be 0 because all the inputs are 0. If a fault is happening on this line, it means that it goes to 1. That means output will be 1. See, for first one, it should be 1. It goes to 0 means faulty. It is stuck at 0 found. If you are testing for stuck at 1, tie this 0. If it is fault free, output will be 0. Else, if there is a fault happening, Your output will not be 0, it will be 1. So stuck at 0 and stuck at 1 will be formed. Now the same logic you put for a NOT gate also. The same thing happens here also. See, whatever the element you are testing for, say this line you are testing, make all other lines 1. And say if this I name it as Y, your output will be depending on Y alone. Y alone. That means Y dash. No? Is this correct? Y dash. Okay. Now, what is the influence of this onto the output? You have to tie the opposite value and see what is the response of the system. Okay. Now, for NOR also the same thing. What input line you are testing for? Okay, accept that make the other inputs to be 0. Then try to see what is your output. This is for a specific logic how we are taking for deriving the type of fault. Okay, now any line can contribute or any line can give you a fault, or any component or any segment can give you a fault. That means, see, when I take a circuit or a gate, a 2-input gate, a fault on this line can give a fault, a fault on line in this line can give a fault, a fault on the chip itself can give a fault. Okay, that means this is external wiring I am saying, connected to the wiring of the gate. This is wire. This is circuit until this, say you take it as circuit. A wire fault can be giving you fault, or a component fault can be giving you a fault, and an output wire also. Any wire can generate a fault, or any faulty component can also generate a fault. Okay, so these how the faults on all the lines. That means once the product has to be released into the market, it should be properly tested for all possible faults on all possible segments and all possible wires, the paths. So that is a tedious job of a testing engineer. Every path should be tested for a fault-free thing. That means fault-free, it should be fault-free. The analysis to be done saying that the circuit is fault-free and it is ready to be prototyped and released into the market. So before getting a product released into, a prototype will be generated from the design methodologies, equations generated. Whatever we have seen so far, all those will be coming into the design segment. Okay, so from that, one prototype generated, it will be tested for all types of faults and it will be analyzed. That means some sort of experimentation will be done. Okay? And this experimentation will give you what is called as fault table. What table came into now? A fault table will be generated. What is the meaning of this fault table is that, as we said, see, whenever you are testing for any line, the other lines will be muted in the sense they won't be contributing to the output, to make that to be desensitized. Like the sensitization should be only for the line on which you are testing. Okay, and what it will be done is in a circuit, in a big circuit where you have these elements as the design blocks. Okay, and what are the paths that are connecting them and all will be taken, and the wires along with the paths and the components that are contributing to your output, everything will be tested. That means making other lines not contributing, only one line will be tested for. And what happens is, for every such combination, the output will be recorded. The output of the system will be recorded. And the output of the system is same as the what you say, the specifications, what we mentioned before the start of the design. That means either using a truth table or whatever the formats we have for defining that problem statement. If it is according to that truth table, it is functioning. Yes, we say that this total circuit is perfectly working. Okay, so the fault table will give you what are the recorded responses for each and every line what you are analyzing for. Okay, now say I have these many lines. Say I name this as P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, some numbers or names or some identification thing will be given. And see, due to this line P, there can be a fault. Okay, first subscript says that what is the line. Second subscript says that what is the type of fault. If it is stuck at 0, it will be recorded as f of p of 0. Okay, on the same line, it can be of fault type of stuck at 1. That means for every fault, as we said, see here, the values that you give for finding a fault is different. The stuck at 0, you are giving 1. Stuck at 1, you are giving 0. So such type of input combinations for which line you are testing will be given, and the system response will be experimented and noted down. This will be recorded. So when an input is set on this line which is contributing, for a type of fault you are testing for, stuck at 0 or stuck at 1, the system response will be recorded for all input combinations, for all input combinations, for all input combinations that are available. And these will be the recorded values. And whatever the values you are getting, that will be noted in the fault table. Okay, that means say you have P, Q, R, S, T, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 means 18 columns will be there. Okay, 9 for stuck at 0, 9 for stuck at 1 on that line. Okay, so the data entry will be such that 9 for stuck at 0 will be taken and 9 for stuck at 1 will be recorded for all the input combinations that a circuit can be given. And what happens is this will be taken with a fault-free output. That means this will be analyzed with fault-free output. Where do you get this data? This is the truth table what you derive from the description of the problem. That means normal input versus output from the problem statement. This is fault-free. This is the fault-free that your system has to respond. That is according to the specifications we derive this truth table. Now, this experimented values will be compared with the output of the truth table. If this line is 0 and fault-free line is 0, means that both are same. That means, say, if I take, say, I'm taking some lines now. Say f of p stuck at 0, f of q stuck at 0, f of r stuck at 0. Some few lines I am taking for just explanation. Q stuck at 1, p stuck at 1, q stuck at 1, r stuck at 1. Okay. Say these are the recorded values from your experimentation. What is the meaning of the values what you are taking on these columns? Is that your circuit response only for this line alone with a value given or assigned to find a fault of stuck at 0. Okay. Now, if the inputs are defined and your fault free, generally it will be noted as F. F means fault free line. See here. Say in input combinations, I'm taking right from 0 to 1, 1. Say this is the response you are getting. Say this is the response you get after experimentation. This is one sample I'm taking. Okay, and fault-free line, say if it is this is according to the specifications. Input versus your F indicates a truth table. Now here the fault table will be giving you the entry after your experimentation. This is the experimentation table, the entry after experimentation. Your fault table will be derived in such a way that for these f of p naught and so on, whatever you are taking, will be entered with 0 or 1 by using an XOR operator between the fault-free line and the line on which you have tested for. Okay, this is experimentation values, what you have recorded. Now, when you do an XOR operation, if the line is responding same as the fault-free line, what will be the output of XOR operator? What will be the output of an XOR operator if your both inputs are the same?
0.
0. Means that if a 0 is entered in this table, it indicates that for that input, this type of line or the line on which you are finding a fault is fault free, because if they are having the same value. See here, a 1 indicates that that value is complement of the needed one. See here, for 0, 0, 0, both are same, so it will be entered 0. For 1, it is same, it will be entered 0. But for 2, this is complement of the value of the truth table. Means that XOR operator will be 1. And other values are 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so it indicates in this fault table that there is a fault on line P. The type of fault is struck at 0 only for one input, that is 2. For input 2, only this is failure. For other inputs, this line is working properly. You got the meaning of this fault table now? It means in the table, it's only ones will be given. A 1 in the fault table indicates that for that particular input combination, on that line, there will be a fault described by the type. A struck at 0 on P line happens for an input of 0, 1, 0, that is 2. And the other inputs, it is fault free. The system is responding properly. That is the meaning of that. So your fault table, if anywhere an entry of 1 indicates, say 1 and say this is 5. For other combinations of 0 or what you say, for only combinations of 1 and 5 only there is a fault. Other combinations, leftover combinations on line Q, it is fault free. And the fault that is happening on that line is struck at 1 for an input combination of 1 and 5. This is your fault analysis. Hope you understood what is this fault table and experimentation table. This experimentation table 0, 1 indicates only the data entry of the system response, the entry of the system response, directly whatever the values you are getting, that raw values you are taking here. And after taking this experimentation table, you'll be doing XOR operator of that line response with the fault free line. In this fault table, you do an XOR operator. A 1 indicates that there is a fault. 0 means it is fault free. Okay. The 1 here is different from 1 here. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And one more point here, let me mention. So these are your experimented values, what you are getting. Now check this. See, when you enter the fault table, the values onto your fault table, how it looks like now. See, the response on line P and Q for stuck at 0 is similar. The response is similar without checking that with this operator I am seeing, without doing an XOR operation, just by seeing the entered values or recorded values, you can see that f of p naught and q naught are having the same responses. So you can group them. This is what we are trying to minimize. The minimization. Some few lines are giving the output in a similar manner for the same input given. For the same input given, output is same. Then such type of lines can be grouped together. Then the minimization of fault table will happen. See, f of p naught, fault on p stuck at 0, q stuck at 0, system response is same. We can group them together. And R stuck at 0, P stuck at 1 and Q stuck at 1, the response is same. So again, I can group them as P1, Q1. Okay, and this fellow is separate. Now your table is minimized. Something like redundancy we are taking. That means system response is similar. Such type of lines can be grouped together. Okay, now here what we have to see is the XOR operator now onto the grouped things we take. Anyhow, this is done. Only for 2 it is faulty. All combinations. Okay. Now only for 2 we said on to this line we have a fault. So 1 will be given here. Now see here, where is the fault? On this R stuck at 0, P stuck at 1, Q stuck at 1. There is a fault on 1 and 0. This is 1. Okay, this is 1 and this is 0, 0, 1, 1. Here, this will be 1, this is 1, and this is 0. Okay, and here R1, R stuck at 1. It is same as the fault free. So there won't be any entry of ones there. Then all will be 0. Obvious that whatever we are writing means that it is 0, fault free. Using this design into our purpose or for our own use. What are the inputs that has to be tested for? Okay, you can say why this type of circuit should be released into the market. Okay, can we not go for a complete 100% fault free? Okay, never any design will be complete 100%. That is the actual reason why there will be always a tremendous changes happening in your circuits, the models. See, whatever the gadget you have today may not be existing after 6 months or 1 year. Okay, always we say, na, this model is obsolete, it is not coming into the market, or this cell phone is not coming into the market, or this gadget is now not under production. That means whatever the faults are there, normally the designers will try to see that there is some tolerance level. Say 80% efficiency is there, okay, let us release that into the market. That 20% we take as a a redesign or additions to the next model. The same model will be updated version they'll be releasing for every change or an improvement they can um, incorporate into. Okay, so when a designer will be choosing a design, is that if that person is not in need of this input combination, the others, it is safe now, you can use for these other inputs into their design. Okay, so such type of analysis should be released into the market. And here, what is the element of the documentation that the design engineer will give is a dictionary will be given. What is this dictionary? A fault dictionary will be given. Normally, what is the true meaning of dictionary? It gives the meaning of a word sort of thing, its usage and all. No? The fault dictionary is that it defines for which type of fault on which line there is a fault probably that happened at the time of design. That means when a user is taking that design, there is no need for the user to give all the inputs and test once again when it is being taken into their designs. Only that input combination which is defined as a fault in the dictionary will be tested at the time of use, and if it is still faulty, then like judgment will be taken whether to proceed to use it or to discard it. Okay, your fault dictionary will be giving that information. We will define this fault dictionary. What is this one? Now, hope you understood this. We need to get a fault table by recording the experiments and doing an XOR operator over the fault-free line. Okay, and this will give you the fault table, and from that we need to define the dictionary. Dictionary derivation, I'll give it later. So here, say let us take an example is needed now. Say a circuit is given. Okay, simple circuit we take. What are, how many entries has to be there now for us? If this is your output, say I take this as W, X, Y, Z are the inputs, external inputs. These are internal. Say this is P and this is Q. How many you get? F of W stuck at 0, X stuck at 0, Y stuck at 0, Z stuck at 0, P stuck at 0, Q stuck at 0. Again the same format, F of W stuck at 1, X stuck at 1, Y stuck at 1, Z stuck at 1, and P stuck at 1, Q stuck at 1. So this will be your experimentation table. For this, what will be the number of inputs? That is W, X, Y, Z. That means for 16 combinations, you will be noting the values. Okay. Like what should be your true F? You need to define this. It depends on these values. No. What is F now? F should be answer.
Truth table output.
W or X, complement of that, and of YZ complement. Is this correct? What is the full form? W dash X dash Y or Y dash or Z dash. So two terms you'll be getting, that is W dash X dash Y dash or W dash X dash Z dash. That means in this 16 combinations, for these combinations here, output will be 1. Means that here only one variable is cut down, means two combinations, no? Wx, that means 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. That is these two inputs, it will be 1. Okay. Then next one, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. It should be 4 input combinations for which your output should be 1. The other combinations, it will be 0. That means you need to write all the values till this thing. For this inputs of 0 and what will be your output? For 0 it will be 1. Next 1 it will be 1. Then 2 also it will be 1. Yes.
That's all.
That's all. And other combinations, right from your 3 to 15, it will be 0. Okay. Now what we have to do is, specifically you have to give a value which derives your stuck at 0 and stuck at 1 sort of thing. Do the entry, do the XOR operation on these lines with these lines, and you will be getting the responses entered as 1 if there is a fault. Okay. 0, no? Okay. I think we can stop here, because the other fault location experiments, what we have to take from this is the preset and adaptive experiments. These are the experiments. Explanation takes much time. Next hour will take. Until this, if you have any doubts, you can get them clarified. Okay. So take down your questions. I think we didn't have the assignment questions on sequential designs, no?
That's fine.
Yeah. What was the last question in your sequential? What are the synthesizing rules of sequential circuits? Okay. Take down, if it is repeated, you skip that question, but take down the question. What are the rules of synthesis for sequential circuits? Explain the excitation tables or derive the excitation tables. Derive the excitation tables for SR, JK, T and D flip-flops. Derive master-slave. Derive master-slave flip-flop from JK. Okay. And what are the, or explain the method of minimization for a complete sequential circuit. Next, derive the method of minimization for incomplete sequential circuit. Explain the process using an example each. Both the questions, okay? Next. Explain the fundamental mode of operation and pulse mode of operation. Explain the fundamental mode of operation, pulse mode of operation, an example each. Implement these designs using SR and T flip-flop. SR and T flip-flops. That means both I'm asking. It's not that SR or T, okay? Both you have to implement the designs using SR and T. What is valid assignment? Next question. What is valid assignment? Define the 4-row, 6-row, 8-row flow table for valid assignment. Okay, that means deriving your row flow tables you do. Next, explain the concept of equivalence, compatibility, merger graph. Just a simple concept you give. Okay, concept of equivalence, compatibility, and merger graph. Explain the concept of state splitting. Define the types of faults and hazards in the digital designs. Explain the remedies for the hazards. Explain how to find a specific fault on and or NAND NOR gates. Okay. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay. Start writing. I may ask you at any moment. Don't give any excuses saying that that work is there, this work is there. You have to complete these things at the earliest possible. And whenever it is asked the same date without postponing, you have to submit. Okay, if no questions, I will wind up the session.